So this part is about China's accumulation of poverty. So before I continue, I want to ask you a question. Do you think China is a centralized country? I mean, the administrative system, is this a centralized country or not?
It is partially centralized and highly data in the sense that all the provinces they have autonomy on their own, carry out their development of each province. But yet they have a central body that controls everything, although they have autonomy in their own. So that's why I say China is partially centralized and it's not centralized.
I think you have Jack knows China. I think you have done a little job here. Yes, many of my friends said China is generally speaking as a centralized country, because we have look at this. So China, I will tell you the reason. Okay, I will tell you when from this. No matter it's partly centralized or centralized, or then I will tell you when it comes from like this. So at present, China has 34 administrative divisions, 23 provinces. Those blue, those in blue, whatever. And then autonomous region, 5. Oh, the blue one are autonomous regions. The purple one are provinces. And 4, these green ones are municipalities. And then these two little red ones, they are special administration regions as Hong Kong and Macau. One extra thing. Where is it? Taiwan, yes? Very good. Whenever you do your homework, okay, whenever you use your map, you use China's map, you have to include that in your homework whenever it's map. Otherwise, it's bad. All right. So under the law, they are all approximately equal, no matter how big, no matter it's big or small. Autonomous region, basically they are minorities. In Tibet, in Xinjiang, autonomous region, majority, they are minorities. Majority people in the autonomous regions are minorities in China. Okay, there are 4-level administration system. That's the answer. Central government, right? Beijing central government, and then province, and then city, and then village. So basically, the administrative system in China is 4 levels. The 4 levels. They are actually from top to low 4 levels. And then why it comes from these 4 levels? Because actually it can be traced back to 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, at the early time in China, 2,000 years ago, there are more than 100 countries or vassal states recorded in China, 140 countries in China. And then with 360 years of war, those kings fight with each other, fight for food, fight for people, fight for resources. And then it continued for more than 300 years. And then finally, 7 left. From 140 to 7. Only 7 left. And in the year of 221 BC, this one, the bigger one in the West China, defeated the other 6. And since then, China became a unified country until now. So the one who defeated the other 6 is this emperor Qin Shi Huang. The first emperor in China's history. And this one is the one who unified China. So we call it the very first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Very powerful man. And then he thinks that we are a unified country. And then this great person, this great emperor, he has done many great things. But the only thing that today I want to mention is that Great Wall. Everyone knows Great Wall, yeah? One who does not know Great Wall, put up your hand. You don't know Great Wall? Yeah, Great Wall is the kind of symbol of China, right? Do you know how long is it? How long? 2,500? Double it, 5,000 kilometers. It stretches 5,000 kilometers, and it was built by this emperor. By this start building it by this emperor, although many dynasties continue to build it. And then think about that in Qing dynasty, that is 2,000 years ago, and the population there is only 20 million. 20 billion. And the technology, think about the technology of 2,000 years ago. And this Great Wall is built on hills, right? At the top of the hills. Very difficult place. And think about 2,000 years ago, the technology and only 20 million people, the Qin Shi Huang can build it without a unified country, without a very centralized administrative system. Can he do it? No, never, right? So this emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in order to control the vast lands, and he divided the country into 36 parts to administer. And then at that time, since that time, the concept of a unified nation means a strong power has become the foundation of China, of all the Chinese government system. Make sense? From the Great Wall. Okay, this is the why it is centralized, and it is centralized from 2,000 years ago. It's not the products of the founding of this country. It is the products of 2,000 years ago from the first emperor of China. Okay? So the reason why I talk about this, I choose only some of the information about China, which are very closely related to poverty elimination. Okay, these are new knowledge. The second thing is that China's, what do you think about China's resources? Is a rich country in resources or a poor country in resources? Resources, I mean natural resources. Rich or poor? Rich?
Rich, yeah.
Rich?
Yeah.
So land area, the third largest, just right after Russia and Canada. Yes, land, rich, yeah. And then China possesses 171 types of mineral resources, and many of them rank top 10 in the world. Rich? Yes. But, you know. And third, you will see a few maps. Questions. What is map you can see? From this map, what can you say conclude from this map? This is a map of China. Yes, I know. And then? Right. So from west to the east, you can see the latitude is what? Yes. So it's an elevated. It's an elevated west and a low lying east from this map. Got it? Second. From this map, what can you say? The Arab land. The Arab land is only the green one. So China is the third largest land area country in the world. But the arable land, the land who can produce crops, only here. Only here. The other places, mostly mountains. So the arable land here is only 12% of the total land in China. Third. So you can say that is the basically distributions of all the land areas. There are 33% of mountains, 26 plateaus, 19 basins, 12 plains, and hills. So 2/3 of the country land areas are mountains. Arable land 12%. And the central and western regions are wastelands and deserts. In those areas, let's say those are the lands, those wastelands and deserts. So these are all countries. Not all cities or places like Beijing. These are all China. In those places, cold in winter, hot in summer, few rain, and it's not obviously not favorable for crops, right? But that is what China have. And population. Hello, India. So the population, China is the largest population, has the population in the world. And it accounts for 18% of the world total population. 18%, nearly 20% of the world's population. So to summarize, China is a centralized administrative system, centralized country, rich in resources. Question mark?
Can I ask a question? Okay, you just show us like the map of China, and we've seen that there is like a part which is however too small, but also the population is so many people. So I wanted to know like how you guys go to feed for the population. Like if this small part that you guys use to feed for the population.
The answer is yes. How? I'm going to tell you. So with only those 12% of arable land in China, and these 12% arable land accounts for 7% of the world total. And the population accounts for almost 20% of the world total. Right? That is China. That is China. And then how are we going to, with this 7%, how to feed 20%? Yeah? Is there a question?
Yeah.
So that is I'm going to talk about China's situation. These 4 parts. First, what is that? Anyone knows SDGs? As a students in forestry, you are supposed to know SDGs. Anyone know SDGs? Yes, technology. Who made it? The United Nations. United Nations. So SDGs means Sustainable Development Goals. It is set by the United Nations. That's basically 17 goals total. SDGs set by United Nations. Those are the 17 goals, and the top one is no poverty. Okay, and by the United Nations. So it's a world consensus on eliminating poverty. and it's the top one. So the goal is to end the poverty in all its forms, everywhere. So that's the United Nations. So by definitions, by U.S. definition of extreme poverty is measured by money, in monetary measures. That means people living on less than US dollars, no more than 1.9 US dollars. Basically, 2.3 US dollars is we call it extreme. They are under extreme poverty. That means severe deprivation of basic needs like food, shelter, drinking water, sanitation, healthcare, education, and access to information. But that's the definition of United Nations. And we Chinese government have another definition. I'm going to tell you. It's a little video that then we will tell you what is the definition by our Chinese.
Poverty alleviation is one of the biggest stories to come out of China in recent years. Since 2019, I've traveled across the countryside to experience firsthand the work on the ground. Some concepts related to the project can be hard to understand, including the term extreme poverty, which China says was eliminated nationwide in late 2020. So, what exactly is extreme poverty? The definition of extreme poverty goes beyond the income dimension to include living conditions. In Guizhou, a village in southwest China's Sichuan province I visited during my reporting on poverty alleviation, a household officially registered as poor can only be taken off that list after meeting a long list of criteria. That includes access to clean water, proper sanitation, electricity, even having a functioning television. So it's not just about what family earns, it's also about how it lives.
So that's the Chinese definition of poverty elimination. That is the goal of the poverty elimination. And I'll continue with the Chinese achievements up to now in poverty elimination. So according to that is just now we mentioned about what China has. We have 7% arable land, 18% of our population, and when it divided by 1.4 billion population, so China ranks 36 in the world. According to the Chinese National Bureau statistics, in 1978, it's about 800 million our people population in China, and until now 0. From last year 0, and this map is from the World Bank. The red one is the world population of poverty under extreme poverty, and this black one are the Chinese poverty population. So you can say China has achieved 0 extreme poverty 10 years ahead of UN SDGs goal schedule, because UN's SDGs said 2030 it will achieve the goal, but China, late last year, China has already achieved it. In China, for this such a big country, we can see there are 0 population, 0 households are under extreme poverty. Now, so that is the 4 years ago, 2017. What's the World Bank Group opening press conference by President Jing Tongping, as the annual meetings. He said it's one of the great stories in human history, frankly starting in 1990 with the evolution of China's economic system and the embrace of the global market. China has lifted over 800 million people out out of poverty. So most of the progress that has been made in going from 40% of the world living in extreme poverty to now less than 10%. Most of that progress happened in China. So we are always looking for the lessons from this experience, and this continues. That's 4 years ago. And then late last year, China has achieved that goal. How did China do that? Ready? That's your question. Very simple. 4 stages. Very simple. 4 stages. The first stage is from the foundings of the People's Republic of China to 1978. At that time, we call it the poverty elimination in command economy. Many people call it planned economy, but we think that command economy will be a more suitable phrase for that. So, as the founding of the countries, we have very low productive forces. China now said at the founding, at the very beginning, just after the liberation, the founding of the country, they said to the officials, what we can build, what we can make. We can make chairs, tables. We can grow crops, but we can not produce a car. We cannot produce a plane. Not mention rockets or such fancy things as the founding father of the country at the beginning. So, and because at that time we have very low productive forces, because we have many years of war with the Japanese invasions, and then we were not lucky at that time. There are very large scale famine, hunger everywhere in China. And then at that time, the government focused on very basic survival problems with with limited policy tools to use. So at that time, the goal is to restore and develop production to ensure minimum living standing of the poor groups by the government direct actions, direct giving supplies, direct give them jobs, okay, to the people who are in real need. So at that time, the effects of the policy under the command economy, it helps, but it's very limited help. Because at that time, the annual per capita income of the farmers was only less than $20 annual per year. $20. Think about that. Okay. And the growth rate per capita income was only 1.9% at the first stage. At that time, the main problem is to survive. Okay? And the government don't have much tools, policy tools to use. So that's the first stage. Second stage is from 1978 to 2012. And this time we call it the poverty elimination by national development programs. And those the policy focus on regions. So the regions, the areas, you can say those different colors. Those are the 14 areas we call it contiguous poverty-stricken regions. So just now you still remember. All those areas are what? Mountain area, right? Mountains, wasteland, deserts, those areas. Okay? So the poverty-stricken regions, and it is contiguous regions, okay? Contiguous regions in 14, there are 14 regions, and then totally there are nearly 600 poor counties in those 14 regions. So at that time, by national development programs, the main goal is to promote development of those areas and narrow the regional relative gap. So it has good results. And then for those 592 poor countries supported by the states, the average annual growth of farmer per capita net income in these countries are 12.8%, higher than the national average. For the poor areas, higher than the national average, the net income. And then the proportion of rural poverty population has dropped to 2.8%. And this, the keywords is region. The keywords is the regions, because this time it is focused on region poverty elimination. And then the third, this stage is very interesting and very important. We call it precision poverty elimination. So the stage 2 is focused on regions, areas, yes, with more than 60 years of development, and those areas it's become smaller, right? It become then at this stage the poor population has gradually changed from regional to points distributions. Make sense? Okay. Therefore, the states mainly focus on the individual households for this country. Okay, so usually, if you focus on individuals, that is usually the most difficult parts. Is the last mile of the journey. Right? Make sense? And then the clear goal was set at that time. That is eliminate poverty by 2020. That is the goal set by the central government. How to do it? 6 precise. First, to precisely find your targets means who needs help. Who is the poor person? Who is the poor household? Who is the poor family? Where? So that's the who need to be helped. And the second, who to give help. Right? The one who needs help. Who give help to them? So this is a precise assignment of people or institutions to those villages. And the third one, how. How to help. It's precisely find the project arrangement, precise measures to households, and precise of funds. How to make it. And lastly, how to evaluate. If we say the household has already been get rid of the poverty, how to evaluate? 5 components of poverty elimination. So that is very in coincidence with the UN definition. I summarize is the 2 worry-frees and 3 guarantees. Means no worry about food, no worry about housing, compulsory education guaranteed. In China, 9 years compulsory education. And then basic medical services guaranteed. Housing, no worry about clothing, no worry about clothing, no worry about food, 2 no worries, worry-free. And 3 guarantees, education, medical, housing, 3 guaranteed. 5 projects put forward according to different poverty causes. For example, number 1, promote production. Food areas, for example. Food areas, probably this area is suitable or to grow like apple trees, right? Because different place, they have different environments, right? For the place whose land, where the land is suitable for grow like apple trees, then the government will send officials, technicians, even the seedlings to those areas and help the villagers, help the farmers to grow the apple tree and improve the quality of the fruits. So that is the first policy. And the second, relocation. What do you mean? Do you know what is mean by relocation? What happens in relocation? Think yes.
Like maybe the government can, for example, if the government finds something important in the particular environment situated, the government can relocate it to area why taking
move people out from the mountain area.
The mountain, it was not the mountain area. For example,
the place where it's not suitable for living.
Where it's not suitable for living, for example, the government might find, let's say, diamond or gold or oil.
No. In this sense, this relocation means ecological relocation. Later, I will give you a case study about relocation. Okay, basically means is if a place that is ecologically fragile, right? It's extremely not good for people's survival in the remote areas in mountains, those places. Then we will build the villages with very good dormitory buildings, not only apartments, not only apartments, but also with also hospitals, schools, and industries. Because if you move people out, you have to give them jobs. Yes, you have to make sure they have schools to go and they can go to the hospital. Right? So that's what relocation means, basically. And it's very, very difficult job for officials, for the local officials to do, because you have to persuade the people who they say, I live here for generations. Why should I leave? Think about the difficulties. How can you persuade those people, those villagers, those farmers, out of their homes which they lived for generations? Yes. So the officials, the local officials, they take a lot of time. It's not very easy. Say it's not like a military order. You must go. You go. No, you have to persuade them. One time, times by times. Many. You have to persuade them to take them to say this is the new home, and then in the new home you have blah 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 such thing. You have drink water. You have safe water. You have hospitals. You have school. Your children can go to the good schools with good education. So that takes a lot of job to do. The third one, education. Because we Chinese, we think that education is the most important key to cut off the intergenerational poverty. 5 welfare. Thus, the government will save you as the last point. Oh, so at the end of 2020, China has held this grand meeting and declare we won the battle against poverty, and 100 million rural people have been lifted out of poverty ahead of the UN scheduled years. So that is the official assembly. For the last stage is from last year to now. We call it rural revitalization and common prosperity. It is a 5-year transition period to maintain the result of poverty elimination. Because the result of poverty elimination is very difficult to reach. And then you cannot say, okay, you have been lifted out of the poverty, then you go for yourself. No, the government says you have to maintain it. You have to keep them going, to have to help them gain the self-sustainable development. So it's a 5-year transition period program to help narrow the gap between the low income and the other groups, and to promote the revitalization of those poor areas until common prosperity. Case studies. So just now I told you there are 6 positions, right? Whom to help, who give help, and then in China, every universities in China, every companies in China, no matter it's state-owned or private companies, and every government, no matter it's central government or provincial government or city government, like the Beijing municipal government, every institutions in China be paired up with the counties or villages in those poor areas, including our university, Beijing First University. We are assigned, we are paired up with a county called Heyouqianqi, and then Inner Mongolia. This is Inner Mongolia, and then we are paired up with here. It's basically a county of Hmong minority, Hmong minorities here. So 80 years ago, we have been one of the first batch of university participate in this national elevation. What have we done? The universities have what? Knowledge. Yes, professors, right? Scientific technologies, those faculty members. That's the universities have, right? So the university, our university, make full use, take full advantages of the university's advantages. We send the faculty members to the to the county to help them gain self-sustainable development. You know, we send the faculties concern related to like forest engineering, forest breeding, gardening, economy, forest economy, biofood, those faculties to carry out like practical technology promotion, short-term training, and consulting services and other activities. We have sent more than 50 faculty members to Qianqi work there. And in these 8 years, the university has invested 2.8 million yuan to support 29 projects, ranging from cultivation, ranging from seedlings, what to choose according to the local land situation, what kinds of species, and then how to make these species grow well, and then how to improve the quality of those of those fruits, and then lastly, how to make it as a product and how to package it. We even designed the package for the product. And finally, we help the villagers to build Taobao, an e-commerce, and help them and tell them how to sell on Taobao of those products. So the university has built a whole chain for the villagers, from seeds to products. Okay, so this is the one. This is the School of Technology. Anyone from School of Technology? 工学院有没有这里？ Oh, that's非常好。So School of Technology has customized the fruit in nucleation and cutting machine. This is a Chinese pear-leaved crab apple. So that is the local fruit in China, and this is the machine. The School of Technology, the faculty, the professors made that customized that, and then increasing this is increasing the production and the money they made from these products. So the university produced the whole process. See, this is the package, this is the design, package design the university do, and then this is the Taobao, the online streaming, Taobao 带货，不知道吧？ So this is the Taobao shop, and then the leader of the university to say how they sell, what's the product, how much money they have been made. So the university basically have the whole chain of the enterprise operation for the villagers in Qianqi County. So those are the faculty. This is the teachers from the School of Forestry. I think there are many students from School of Forestry, right? Yeah. The teachers from forestry faculties help the farmers to eliminate the pests and disease of those fruits, of these economic trees. And then just now we mentioned education is one of the 5 policies to help to cut off the poverty elimination, education. So in the last 7 years, we sent 10 batches of teachers and graduate students to the local school from primary to high school to teach. To teach nearly 7,000 teaching hours benefits more than 3,000 families, and it helps this group nearly 5,000 students from primary to high school for those 10 batches of teachers. Until now, this year, we still send teachers and graduate students to go there. It's not to teach only for a couple of days. They stay there for semesters, for years. You know? So that's the university has done. And then so we are not the only one who do it. All universities done that in China. Not only on classroom teaching, but also organize extracurriculum programs for those students. So those are the pictures. Even more, we organize online study tours. Not all the local students can go out, but we can take their minds out of the little county, right? We took them not only to say the Forbidden City online study tour, not only Great Wall, Forbidden City, but also to let them to visit the famous universities in China: Tsinghua University, Beijing Normal University, Peking University, also our university. And even that, because we send visiting students out of China, and even we take them to, say, the University of London, in the UK, online studies, open their minds, open their horizons. So we think it is the most meaningful thing to plant seed of hope to kids. Agree? Agree. I love this picture very much. So that's the first case of what university has done. Fine, we achieve the goal of eliminating extreme poverty 10 years back. They are very simple, 5 lessons. First one, a capable and active government and top-level commitment. So this is President Xi. And just now I mentioned that there are 4 levels of administrative system, right? From central to village. And these 4 gentlemen, they are the top leader of those levels. Okay? So President Xi Jinping said that no single poor area or single poor person should be left behind in achieving this goal. What goal? The goal is poverty elimination. Second, many people argue that, oh, China is too different. China is so much different from other countries, and we can basically learn nothing from China. I argue that. For example, precise poverty elevation by building network by one-to-one strategy. Just now I mentioned that every institutions in China have been paired up with the locals. So this is the data. There are 340 countries in Eastern China. You know, in Eastern China, where the most arable land here, they are more developed. You know, China is the differences between East and the West is huge. There are large development area, the gaps. So basically, the eastern areas more developed, like Beijing, Shanghai, Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Xianggang. Those places, cities are all in the east, right? So there are 343 counties in eastern China have been paired up with 574 counties in those 14 provinces in central and western China. 3 million officials. 3 million officials has been 3 million officials have been dispatched as the chief residential officials in those poor villages. Okay. What do you understand? What do you think about residential officials? You know what is meaning? What does it mean by residential officials? Yes, they live there. For those 3 million people, 3 million officials, including our university, we sent our staff to there, live there. They are not supposed to fly here and there as a flyman. No, they're supposed to live there, to work there, to guide, to work together with those villagers, with the local staff, to guide, provide services and consultations, to guide those villagers how to do it. So altogether, there are more than 3 million officials have been dispatched as the residential officials in those poor villages. To these enterprises means there are 22,000 enterprises also being paired up with those regions, with those companies in those areas. So that's the second lesson. To building networkings, to help them building networks, a one-to-one strategy. And the third lesson, why I argue that, because I think this is the lesson every country can do it, right? Cultivate markets. We help them to produce the products, and then the product does not mean money, right? You have to sell them. To cultivate markets means to create markets for products and labor from those poor regions. Altogether, there are this 136,000 products have been identified in 22 provinces, including nearly 2,000 counties and 40,000 suppliers. So at the end of last year, consumption of these products from those poor areas has exceeded 200 billion in China. So this is the picture that the citizens in big cities, they are choosing products from poor villages at the supermarkets. Even in China, in Beijing, in 五道口, in 你们经常去的那个叫什么物美，在升级8号的物美, you can find the products from those poor areas. It's a special area. It's clearly said these products are from which poor areas. So cultivate markets. So finally, that's the 3 lessons. And the 4th lesson, education, part of the transmission education. Lastly, post-poverty programs, right? When they live out of the poverty, you have to help them another 5 years to maintain the right situation. Post-poverty programs. Okay. Really, I don't know whether I answered your questions. Next time we will have chances. That's basically what China has to do. Very simple, with very simple.